All right, great. Thanks everyone for being here. Coach, thank you for your time. We'll open up far left, Justin Holbrook, WCMH.
You guys are coming off a game where you forced a lot of turnovers. Notre Dame, not a team that really makes those mistakes. They don't really get behind schedule. How do you try to match up against a team like that and a quarterback that 70% completion, no interceptions so far this season?
You just fight and do everything you can to continue to get better. I mean, that's really what we're all about, is getting better every day. So, you emphasize the positives that happened in the last game. You show the challenges of this game, and you come up with a plan to win. And that's it's really a week to week process, and in matchup games, it's just further intensified.
What is it about his decision making that makes him so able to read the defense as well and have such a high completion percentage without making mistakes?
He's smart. He's efficient. He's experienced, right? I mean, when you have a lot of experience as a quarterback, it helps you figure things out, get rid of the ball. He has great vision.
Front row, middle. Dave Biddle, 24/7 Sports.
Hi, Jim. I want to ask about James Laurinaitis and what he's added to the linebacker room, and just your thoughts on working with him and what he's been able to add to your defense this year.
James is just a wonderful person, number one, to have around. Two, a legend at Ohio State, so he can relate to, what the current players go through on a daily basis. He's not that old, so he's still close enough to their age where he can be a real mentor to the guys. Then you take the experience of playing in the NFL, right? So when it gets to certain individualized techniques, he brings a lot to the table.
We're going to go deep center field. Jeremy Bergman on 3, the podcast.
Jim,
I take that back. Rivals, the podcast.
Jim, when you last week you come out, Sonny's basically playing in the slot on a wide receiver in the first play of the game and doesn't play a lot the rest of the game because Jordan's in there, and then Sonny's in there when it's 63-10 at the end. How do you balance that? I mean, is it just totally based on matchups, or are you just trying to get a feel for how someone's reacting, moving early in the game? Or how do you figure out which rotation? Because Sonny's athletic enough to be out there.
Yeah, it's all part of the plan. It's a week-to-week plan, which, where we want to utilize the talents of our players, but like you said, also get the matchups right and do what they do best. So it just worked out that way in that game, and we knew it was going to be a lot of true nickel because of the passing attack.
What did you think about Jordan's his response to getting depth with us?
I thought he made some plays, and I think he's still a work in progress at that position. And he just needs repetition and continued coaching, but he has the skills.
Fourth row right, Andy Backstrom, Letterman Row.
Jim, the Notre Dame running back, Audrey Estime, does a lot for them. He's kind of a bell cow at this point. What kind of challenge does he present the defense, and especially the linebackers?
It's the running back combined with the offensive line. The offensive line is talented. The tackles are excellent, and he's a strong running back. So when you have an offensive line that works well together, and they're physical and they push at the point of attack, he's a guy who can get behind that, and strong runner, but also elusive. He can also make the cuts. So I think it's a real challenge for us to play behind our pads and play downhill, because you're going to have to put your face in the fan.
Right next door, Cameron Teague Robinson, The Athletic.
Jim, you talked a lot about going to that Western game, about this being the big test, the first true test for the secondary. Just when you watch that game back, what you learned about this group that did good or bad?
Yeah, I mean, I learned that we could compete at a high level against a guy who I think is going to be an NFL quarterback and a receiver who I think is an NFL receiver. I think they had those two players were premier talents. So, it gets harder and harder every week, but that's why they're at the Ohio State and me too. So but you take from it that, okay, we're, in the passing game, we're going to contest them, we're going to compete. And I think that's what we want to do this year.
Right behind him, Spencer Holbrook, letterman row.
Jim, you guys have rotated a lot of defensive line so far this season. Is this the kind of matchup where you want to see that pared down a little bit and keep your best guys on the field at all times, or is it one where you have to keep them fresh?
No, I think we go with our plan. We want to keep those guys fresh, play as many as we can. We want to be strong in the fourth quarter, so we'll continue that way.
Second row right, Doug Maurice, Kings of Columbus, the podcast.
You talked about Notre Dame's offensive line. When an opponent has an offensive line like that, do you need to think about how do you then decide how much you're going to blitz to get the pressure you want? If you feel like maybe, I don't know what you feel, if we don't blitz, maybe we won't get as much pressure, even though you guys have a good deal.
Well, such is the dilemma, right? I mean, week to week, really is. And you take it play by play and situation by situation, and, you want to always have something to change up, keep them off balance. It's just, I guess that's why I work all those hours. If there was an easy answer to that question, I'd be smoking a cigar right now.
And it does, they'll protect, right? Run the ball, protect, and then maybe take a deep shot. Your ability of your secondary right now, even if Hartman's back there all day, what's your confidence level in your secondary to still be able to defend down the field, even if they have a chance to take that shot?
Yeah, I'm confident, but we won't stop practicing. I think we'll keep practicing, but I'm confident we're staying on top of things, right? We're staying on top of things, keeping it in front, and limiting the explosive plays, and that's a big deal.
Right next door, Stephen Means, Cleveland.com.
Just to follow up on Sonny a little bit. I think late in that game on Saturday, Jordan was the nickel and Sonny was high. And I know you're not trying to throw too much at him at one time, but how comfortable is he at other spots other than nickel? And is it something that you could potentially explore in a game sometime down the line here?
Yes, he's comfortable at both. Talented young man who also has great football intelligence. So yeah, we're gonna keep working with him in different ways without overloading him. It is a balance because I want him to play fast.
Right behind him, Dan Hope, 11 Warriors.
Jim, what's the biggest difference you've seen from Tyleik Williams that has allowed him to make a more consistent impact so far this season?
Just being healthy. Tyleik is extremely athletic, really athletic. And, he needs the repetitions, missed a lot of reps during camp, right? So the more repetitions that he gets, it just seems like the better he becomes. But staying healthy is a big thing.
Right in front of him, Nathan Baird, Cleveland.com.
These first three games, there have been a lot of legitimate reasons maybe why the defensive line doesn't get to the quarterback a lot. This game, where they do have a more pro-style offense, do you feel like you have to feel the defensive line, just the four-man rush and the pass rush more in order to win a game like this?
They have to keep doing what they're doing. Last game was interesting. I don't know how many sacks we got, only a couple, I think. But when you watch the tape, he was under duress all the time. And I think that's sometimes missed, So we just got to keep doing what we're doing up front. Talented, hardworking guys. It is, we want the sacks and the quarterback hits, but it's also about getting the ball out on time, making sure the ball gets out on time. And we've been doing that.
Front row, Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
I asked Ryan a similar question. I know you guys were confident going into the season about your defense, but obviously the last thing people saw were the last two games. Through 3 games, how good do you feel about it, and what needs to improve?
I never feel good. I mean, there's not a time that I feel good, and that's not something that I should. It's a constant striving to get better. Now you emphasize the positives. You see things, you build on that, and that builds confidence. So I think we just need to keep getting better at that confident approach. The more reps you get, the more plays you make, those all count. They're like in the bank, what I mean? So to me, it's just all about a continued mindset of confidence and controlling the game on defense. I mean, it's really just continue to push the mindset.
Just specifically about JT and Jack, because the sacks haven't been there, but I see what you're saying about the pressure and the disruption and the run game too. How would you assess the way they're playing?
I think they're playing excellent, and they're talented, coachable, Ohio State type young men, and you really couldn't ask for more out of either of them. They're going to do whatever you ask them to do. They're going to be coachable. They're going to see their mistakes. They're going to fix them. They're just really great young men. I'm very pleased with both of them.
Far right, Austin Ward, Rivals, the podcast.
Jim, if the opportunity had been there, what did you think that Chip could have become at linebacker?
I love Chip just as a person too, close to him, just as a person, just a great kid. He's very athletic and he's physical. So, I was looking forward to the chance to work with him because, I definitely thought he could be like a Malcolm Rodriguez type, who's now with the Lions that we had at Oklahoma State. So, there was a lot of potential there, but Chip's also a team guy. He's going to do whatever coaches ask him, and just a great kid.
Right next door, Tim May show.
Yeah.
On 3.
Yeah, thank you, Jerry. Dovetailing off of that, you've been around Steel Chambers. You've been around Chip. Steel Chambers showed up as a running back, and he's at linebacker. Chip came back here as a linebacker, and he's at running back. And just what makes those guys tick? And do what's special about? I guess obviously you talked about Chip a little bit, but still too. I mean, are they in the right place now? I guess you're a football coach, not just defense.
But they only pay me to coach defense, so anything else is above my pay grade. So it's that combination of athleticism and physicality and football intelligence. I think that they both have, right? I mean, that's what makes Steele good at the position is that it's that football intelligence. Can you see the big picture? That you're not just locked into one thing. And both of them are like that, and great team guys too. So really versatile.
As you prep for this game, how much are you what you've seen on video are you able to apply compared to what you saw last year from these guys? From an offensive standpoint, can you put in layman's terms how much they've changed they almost look to me like a Joe Gibbs offense from the Redskins. I mean, like want to run that power in and throw over the top. But what's your take?
Yeah, I mean, you really just I think when you're in these situations, you focus on what you have to see in front of you with 4 games, and you check on some things from this year, but they certainly look different, and you have to look at the personnel and particularly the quarterback, new offensive line coach, right? So you have some different schemes coming up.
Right next door, Joey Kaufman, Columbus Dispatch.
What do you see as the biggest effect that Sam Hartman and new quarterbacks had on their offense this year?
Decision making, I think is huge, and leadership from a quarterback. Obviously, he's an impressive guy to be able to come in there and be a captain as a transfer. So I think it's that decision making and leadership that he brings to the table that makes him different.
He's
connected on some deep balls this year. I think the last time they had 2 over 70, and just in general, it seems to be something they've done more this year with the vertical stuff. How apparent that on film and
Yeah, I mean, it goes along kind of what Tim said about the offense. It's become a running, smash mouth offense with shots over the top. So I think it really fits what they're doing, and it's definitely something we have to be prepared for.
Fourth row middle, Tony Girdman, Buckeye Huddle.
I guess right along with that, you had mentioned, I think last week, about finding out more about your pass rush. How much do you know about your secondary's ability to handle the play action right now?
What I've seen so far is good. Is good. There's an understanding of how to be on top. Of how to play those, giant crossing routes. You've seen some of that show up, and a lot of plays that you're seeing in the NFL. So there's an understanding there. There's been execution. It's you got to keep pressing it because it gets more every week against better opponents. It just gets tougher to do.
How much different is this challenge in that regard than the first 3?
Yeah, I mean it's everything, right? I mean, it's a matchup game, so the intensity level increases, but it still always comes back to habits. What kind of habits do you have and your training? But yeah, I mean, it's different every week, and this is certainly a huge test.
And we'll wrap up questions for Coach Knowles. Second row right, Bill Landis. Rivals, the podcast.
Jim, since you've been here, you've seemed really excited about being able to use Mitchell if he were ever available to you. I think to this point he's mostly been like late game stuff. How do you feel about his reps building up, and I guess when will you be comfortable to use him in sort of the way you use him?
I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable now. It's just got to be part of the game plan. And it's in, and you never know when you're going to see it.
Coach, thank you very much for your time.